There is a Bible verse that many churches today refuse to obey. I'm going to tell you what this verse is, and I'm going to tell you why they refuse to obey it. But first, I want to give you a hypothetical example. Imagine there is someone in the church, there's a man who is part of the fellowship, part of the community, even a member of the church. He gets into a relationship with an unbeliever. He has a child with her. They're living together. They have no marriage commitment. They have no intention of getting married or repenting of any of this. But what he continues to do is simply come to church every week as a professing Christian. What should the church do in this situation? Well, I'll tell you what many churches do, and that is little to nothing. And I'll tell you why I think this is. I've got 4 reasons. So the first one is a fear of man. The church doesn't want to offend the person. They're scared of making a fuss. They don't want confrontation. The second one is that they lack the fear of the Lord. They think, well, God's commandments are maybe a bit too extreme, so we don't have to quite go that far. That's just a bit over the top. Now, the third thing that is a concern for churches around this is that they're worried that if they deal with this, it's going to open up a can of worms. So what this means is that there might be other people in the church that are living in sin, and they're going to have to address the other sins in the church. What's going to happen is people might leave the church, the congregation will shrink, and maybe even be concerned about the financial giving going down as well that's going to the church, all of those implications. And the last one is that they just want to show this person what they consider in their mind to be love. It's better for that person, they say, to be in the church hearing the truth than to be out there in the world and not in the church, not recognizing that oftentimes the truth isn't being preached in these places, in that it's not convicting truth which is going to convict this person of their sin. And in fact, the Bible tells us that this approach of this so-called love is actually something that can be the most hurtful and harmful thing to them. There are a few dangers here. First of all, for that person, they can remain complacent in their sin. Second of all, for those in the world, they can look at the church and see the church doesn't take sin seriously, or maybe even think that what this person's doing is okay because the church approves of it. And thirdly, for those other people who are in the church, looking at this, they might also then be confused about what's acceptable. They might engage in this sin as well because there's no conviction for sin in this place, and all of a sudden the church becomes an absolute mess. We're going to have a look at this Bible verse now, the one that these churches refuse to obey, and then we're going to look at another verse which tells us why God instructs this in the church. So this verse here deals with church discipline. So if we have a look, it's 1 Corinthians 5, starting at verse 11. But now I am writing to you not to associate with anyone who bears the name of the brother if he is guilty of sexual immorality or greed, or is an idolater, reviler, drunkard, or swindler, not even to eat with such a one. For what have I to do with judging those outside? Is it not those inside the church whom you are to judge? God judges those outside. Purge the evil person from among you. So this verse is saying that that particular person is to be purged from among the congregation. And I'll tell you why. I'll read out the verse and then I'll explain what this means. So it says in verse 5, you are to deliver this man over to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, so that his spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord. So what this is saying is that this person is to be removed from the congregation so that they will experience the consequences of their sin. They will take sin seriously. They'll recognize that the church takes sin seriously. It'll give them a chance to feel a conviction and hopefully come to a place of repentance. The worst thing that the church can do is allow that person to remain in the church, to be comfortable in their sin and not take it seriously. Now keep in mind that the person I'm talking about here is an unrepentant person. If a person is repentant, the church should come alongside them in grace and help to restore them to God. There may still be consequences in terms of maybe being removed from ministry positions or whatever, but they should come alongside that person. But if a person is unrepentant, they should be removed from the fellowship. That's why God instructs us that we are to deal with this and take this seriously to avoid all of those things. Would love to get your thoughts on this. Leave your comments below. Talk to you soon. God bless you, friends.